Welcome to my Lego table restoration video, where I take an old Lego table that I had as a kid and I turn it into a giant Battle of Hoth diorama. To start things off, I'm going to be removing the old green base plates that were glued and nailed into the table, so it's going to take some tools and a little bit of elbow grease. Then, I'm going to remove the net from the middle of the table that used to hold loose bricks in the center hole. The table was originally meant for Duplo bricks, so that's why the net is so big. You can actually see the large Duplo stud marks on the top of the table imprinted in the dried glue. I want to use some brand new base plates in a new color, and they wouldn't sit flat on the table if I didn't remove that net in the middle and its supporting wood blocks. I want to give the table a fresh coat of black paint so that it not only matches the black bookcases that I have, but so that it also looks similar to the LEGO Star Wars diorama sets with their black base, just on a bigger scale. I only have one paintbrush handy, and the rough wood grain on the base of the table is definitely wearing my brush fast, so here's hoping I don't need another. I've temporarily separated the legs from the tabletop so that I can get a thorough coat of paint on all the nooks and crannies. There's no need to paint the center of the tabletop because it'll be covered in base plates anyways. I'm adding some fresh 48 by 48 stud base plates which fit perfectly in the table. From there, I'm putting white plates on top of those to simulate the ground layer of snow on Hoth for the diorama. Getting all of the white plates to connect to the gray base plate was harder than I anticipated, because since they're such big plates, there's lots of studs that need to connect to make it all flat, so there was a lot of rolling over those studs to make sure that they were connected. And with that, we have our massive 96 by 96 studs long base plate for the table. I'm not going to glue the base plate to the table like it was on the old version. That way, if I ever change my mind about anything, I can just slide it back out as easily as it slides in. Plus, the edges of the table keep it in place perfectly. Next, I'm going to build some Rebel Trooper battle packs to bolster their defenses on Hoth. With these packs, they gain 6 batteries, 6 laser cannons, 3 blaster turrets, and 9 foot soldiers. I decided to switch out the faces on 6 of the troopers, so that way they all have unique faces and expressions on the battlefield. I also modified their blasters with a minifigure hand, so that they look a little bit more like the blasters that they used in the movie. It's time to start placing our opposing forces on the battlefield, and what better to start with than the Ultimate Collector's Series AT-AT. I decided to add the info plaque for the set on the table off in the corner as well. Next up is the Hoth AT-ST, as if the Empire needed extra firepower here. For the Rebel side, I'm using the snowbank build that comes in the Snowtrooper battle packs to start the edges off for the Rebel trenches on Hoth. With the help from all the white pieces from my Lego bin, I've made a nice trench for the Rebels to hide behind. You can see some red and white plant pieces being used to simulate blaster bolts hitting the snowbanks, as well as some translucent clear bricks for ice. In the corner here, we have a downed Rebel laser cannon on fire, a Rebel manning the blaster turret, and a poor Rebel who's just trying to surrender. Behind our unfortunate Rebel friend is a weapons cache and some turbo laser batteries spewing about on the ground. On the other side of the trench are some more Rebels engaged in combat with the Imperial forces that will soon be added, and in the corner we see Chewbacca lending a hand to a very scared Rebel trooper who looks like he'd much rather be on a beach planet right now. Finally, we have Luke Skywalker attempting to get inside the Imperial AT-AT. This set actually has a specific stud placement underneath the walker for him to connect with his ascension cable. Since the Imperials are winning, some of the troopers aren't all too concerned with the battle at hand and have their mind on other snow planet themed activities. In the spare space behind the feet of the walker, I decided to add a snow hill for this trooper to shred down on their snowboard. And what would a snow planet be without a snowman? This trooper decided to spend their time making art and not war. That is until our snowboard trooper crashes into it, of course. Now for the troopers that are taking this battle a little bit more serious than the others. Although friendly fire is more common than you think, this trooper is diving away from the walker's foot just in the nick of time. On the front lines of the battle, blaster fire flies rampant over the snowy fields of Hoth. Casualties are taken while Chewbacca fires on a Viper probe droid as well. This next part of the diorama is quite possibly my favorite thing yet. I've added the 2 speeder bikes from the Hoth Troopers battle pack and placed them on top of clear translucent bricks on an angle to simulate them speeding over the snowy fields. I also added long cloud pieces behind each speeder to add a sense of movement to them, like they're kicking up the snow behind them as they speed into battle. I then placed several 1x1 tiles behind the snowtroopers that are walking to give the effect of footprints in the snow. To finish things off with this diorama, I'm adding Luke's crashed snow speeder below the AT-AT, as well as his unlucky co-pilot, Dak Ralter. I've used these cloud pieces and fire pieces to customize the snow speeder to look like it did in the movie when it was on fire and smoking from the cab. I've placed the snow speeder at an angle like it's crashing down into the snow and put Dak Ralter in the co-pilot seat to inevitably be crushed by the AT-AT's foot. Sorry, Dak. And with that, my diorama is finished. I've had so much fun working on this project, and I hope you all enjoyed watching the process on this build. From coming up with different funny gags with the minifigures to adding little details like footprints, snow trails behind the speeders, and blaster bolts hitting the trenches and troopers, I'm always reminded of the fun LEGO can bring us. So if you've enjoyed this diorama series, let me know in the comments your favorite part of the build. And one more thing, I've hidden a LEGO mini kit somewhere in the diorama. Best of luck finding it. Don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching.